I want to bring our guests in pretty immediately. Steve Kuclo is a functional health expert among political commentator, all of the things he does. And Brianna Lyman is a reporter for the Federalist, again, among many other things. Guys, thanks so much for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Brianna, I want to start with you here. Okay, so let me just set this up. This is a grocery store in Kansas City that the government and the taxpayers effectively have subsidized. It's been around for 7 years. It's gone through 2 different operators, one for-profit, one nonprofit, as it is currently being held. The shelves are empty because the government is basically trying to run this store itself. Taxpayers, believe it or not, I had to fact check this because I was like, there's no way this number was this high. Over the last 7 years, through nonprofit bonds, building loans, various ordinance changes, and shortfall transfers, I'm not even sure what that means, the taxpayer is on the hook for $29 million to keep this grocery store afloat, and it doesn't have any food in it. Brianna, you know, this has only, again, made it and bubbled up to a top story because of, well, another big city that you're probably very familiar of, with a mayoral candidate proposing a very similar feature. Can you tell us, I don't know, what are your thoughts overall of government-run grocery stores? Do you think it'll come to place in New York City?
Well, first, let me say that if there are going to be government-run grocery stores, I think the perfect name for them would be Karl Mart. Get it, like a food mart? But I don't want to see any Karl Marts around here. What I will say is a few things. First of all, let's talk about this one in Kansas City that you just mentioned. Not only do they not have food on the shelves and they're in the hole for tons of taxpayer dollars, it is crime-ridden. In fact, one of the owners said, look, people are actually scared to come here because the government, which is the landlord, can't keep the crime down. So not only do you have problems with a food desert within the store, you also have crime. So all of these people that this is supposed to help aren't even going here because guess what? They don't want to be robbed or shot. Put that aside. Let's talk about this theory of government-run grocery stores. The fundamental problem with a government-run grocery store is that the government now takes on this role where it is a provider of certain entitlements and certain goods. That is not a government that works with a government in a Republican society, small r Republican. In a Republican society like the founders intended, government does not dispense right. Government simply secures your rights. Anything they do outside of that, it's usually well within their scope. And if it's not, that means that the government's gotten too big, right? So government-run grocery stores means the government's gotten too big because that's not what the government's there to do. So if you support this kind of policy like Mondami in New York City, it's because you don't actually believe in small r republicanism. You believe in an entirely different form of government, i.e. socialism or communism.
Yeah, and it turns out if that's the case, you're not really going to have much to eat there. Steve, you know, being a functional health guy, I don't want to necessarily ask you too much about my diet, but one of the big problems is they couldn't keep any of the meat or protein from expiring. There was a lady in an interview, maybe I should have pulled the clip, basically said, hey, there's milk in this fridge. Yes, there is milk in the fridge, but the milk's a month old, past its expiration date. I mean, again, kind of same question, kind of outline your thoughts. You know, government mandated grocery stores. It seems like everything the government touches turns to crap.
Correct. Let government stay in its lane and let government not run business. As we know, anything that typically the government gets their hands on, it's very inefficient and doesn't usually do well. I mean, you can look at things like TSA has always had issues. The post office always had issues. And obviously trying to get into grocery stores or food supply, not good. Anything with this kind of stuff, privatizing always seems to be the way to go. And our food supply is one of the most fragile things I think we have as Americans, and we have to protect our food supply. You hear a lot about that, but trying to get this grocery store off the ground, trying to the amount of money that it's really just robbed the taxpayers of, it's just another failure of the government. And, you know, it's like so many people just kind of throw your hands up like, oh, I'm not surprised. Here's our tax dollars being wasted yet again. But I think we just need to really focus on, you know, again, the food supply and government keeping their hands out of this. I mean, this ultimately is like Whole Foods meets Soviet era grocery lines, you know, without the food. So it's that's just not good.
Yeah, it's you know, the whole idea that the government can run something effectively is just continually laughable, and yet people continue to try and do